The city was a sprawling marvel of modern architecture, beacon of humanity's achievements. But tonight, it was battlefield. The skyline once dotted with glimmering lights, now burned under the shadow of an alien mothership. Smaller vessels zipped through the air, firing devastating energy beams that reduced buildings to rubble. Screams echoed in streets below as terrified civilians scrambled for safety, their faces pale with fear. Amid the chaos, a woman stood atop a crumbling rooftop. Her figure was illuminated by glowing lines of her high-tech suit, and her plasma staff thrummed with power. Nova Sentinel, leader of marvelous defenders, surveyed the scene below with steely resolve. She tapped communicator on her wrist, her voice cutting through the static. Team report in. We've got civilians trapped near Main Street and a dozen drones inbound. Let's move. From shadows, her team emerged one by one. First was Moltar, a hulking figure clad in molten armor that pulsed like living lava. Fiery wave that engulfed the remaining drones, his molten fists smashing through their ranks like they were paper. Astralis stayed above fray, her hands outstretched as she used her telekinetic powers to lift chunks of rubble off trapped civilians. Clear a path for them. Nova Sentinel shouted, her voice sharp but steady. Astralis, cover the rear. As the last of the drones fell, the defenders regrouped. The civilians ran for safety, their faces filled with gratitude, but there was no time for celebration. A deafening roar split the air, and the ground beneath them trembled. From the ruins of a toppled monument, a massive figure emerged. General Zyrix, alien commander, was a towering force clad in glowing black armor. His 4 arms held an enormous energy hammer that crackled with lethal power. His crimson eyes locked onto the heroes with a mixture of disdain and amusement. Foolish creatures, Zyrix boomed, his voice resonating like thunder. Your resistance is a pathetic display of defiance. Nova Sentinel stepped forward, her staff glowing brighter as she faced him head-on. We've faced worse than you, she said, her voice unwavering. And we're still standing. Zyrix raised his hammer, slamming it into the ground. Shockwave of energy erupted, hurling the defenders backward. Moltar was the first to rise, flames surging around him as he growled, you'll regret that. The battle raged near the alien mothership, a towering colossus that pulsated with an ominous light. Nova Sentinel clashed with Zyrix in a brutal exchange of blows, her plasma staff meeting his energy hammer in sparks of light. Every strike shook the ground, but neither showed signs of yielding. Meanwhile, Volt darted through the battlefield, weaving between enemies as he made his way to the mothership's power core. Almost there, he muttered, electricity crackling around him. Just need to. A swarm of drones blocked his path. Volt smirked, bad move. Back at the fray, Astralis used her powers to hold off waves of reinforcements. With a strained expression, she raised a protective barrier around the injured. I can't hold this forever, she called out. I've got you covered. Moltar shouted, unleashing a fiery blast that reduced the advancing drones to ash. Finally, Volt reached the mothership's core, his hands glowing as he unleashed a surge of electricity. The ship began to sputter and groan, its